Welcome to the latest edition of Relationship Tips. Today's topic, ego and self-esteem. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone who works hard to be the center of attention? This person might focus too much on things like his car, clothes, bank account, body shape, or the size of his house. He may often remind you that he's the smartest, most successful, or greatest in many areas of his life. He might even have groups of people that appear to admire him. Now, in this brief description, it might be difficult to determine if this person's driven more by ego or by self-esteem. You could probably make an argument for either side. However, it's important to understand the differences between the two, because one is healthy and one is not. You see, when a person has self-esteem, they are connected to their real self. Their behaviors align with their own core values. They treat themselves and others with respect. They are compassionate and empathetic. They feel comfortable setting healthy boundaries. They are confident, connected, open-minded, and remain curious. A person with self-esteem embraces ideas, people, cultures, and customs that are different from their own. They are comfortable doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Their behaviors match their internal goodness. They are, in essence, solid as a rock. So, what happens when a person's real self was never supported in childhood? What happens if their caregivers treated them as incompetent, inadequate, unimaginative, or even disappointing? Sadly, the person would start to disconnect from their real self because of a distorted image left from childhood. They would then begin to fabricate a false self, simply just to survive. This false self could manifest itself as a large ego. The person with a large ego would work hard to create an appearance that is opposite of the negativity they were fed in childhood. This false self takes a lot of energy to create and maintain, and it's an incredibly fragile facade. The false self is like an egg that's completely empty on the inside. Because it's not solid like a rock, it takes more energy to keep from cracking under the threat of public scrutiny. These people are often described as thin-skinned, becoming enraged when others don't agree and see things the way they do. And they sometimes devalue others as a way to make themselves feel more powerful. Now, here's a hard question. Have you ever found yourself behaving in this way? If any of this sounds familiar to you, it could be that your ego is acting as a placeholder until you reconnect with your real self. Until then, you might be treating others the same way you were treated in childhood. So try the following tips. First, know that your real self already lives inside of you. Begin letting go of the negative images that were projected onto you as a child, and strive to behave in a way that matches your core values. Your 4 core values are to improve, to appreciate, to connect, and to protect. Know that any effort to reconnect with your real self will save you a lot of energy in the long run. Why? Because a large ego is not who you are, and it takes a lot of energy to keep this fragile structure from collapsing. When your behavior towards yourself and others is driven by your core values, you will begin to reconnect with your real self, causing your self-esteem to increase. The best news, as self-esteem rises, ego falls, because it's simply no longer needed. Possessions are simply what you have. They are not who you are. Just think about how your relationships will improve when your energy is diverted from ego maintenance to relationship building. So until next time, remember, change happens best when insight is combined with action.